Oh, this is going to be a workshop Turner's Talk type thing.
Looks like it.
And it's looking like it's going to be probably more of a Turner's Talk.
Yeah.
So this is the latest turnout we've had yet. Hey, Ed, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you know we don't have any video on you? There you are.
There it is.
Yeah, here I am.
So, okay, big question for Turner's Talk. Have any of you tried anything in the last 6 months or so because of the pandemic, tried something new that you haven't done before and were surprised at how simple it was? For me, that was,
or so.
yeah, or for the last year for that matter. For me, it was turning that maple leaf bowl that we that special Saturday workshop we did.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that I've hadn't turned before. I've been messing with colors quite a bit.
Yeah.
And just dyes with the dyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned a lot about that. And I've kind of figured out my own way of blending them in from one to another, so they don't look like a stark line. It's kind of blends rather than like a rainbow type of thing. But
Are you using an airbrush?
No.
Nope.
But speaking of that, I just got an airbrush deal from Harbor Freight, and it's 6 airbrushes on one little carousel. It was on sale, so I said, what the heck, I'll get it. And so I'm going to mess with that. But there's a little screw on it that regulates your trigger. And I had, when I opened the package, one of the screws was in a pen, and the rest of the screws were all kind of laying in the box. So I come up one short. So I called Harbor Freight's helpline. They said, call their helpline. And the lady said, just take it to the store, and they'll either replace the whole thing or get you what you need out of another box. Well, that didn't sound right to me, but I called the store and talked to the manager, and I told him what I needed. And he says, well, I'm going to get one off the shelf, and we'll set it up by the registers. You come in and pick out whatever you need. And we'll just scrap out the rest of that package.
Yeah.
Which I was quite impressed that they did that. So
Yeah.
I did. I went over, and the guy opened the box up and said, take whatever you need. So, it worked out good. So
yeah, they're pretty good for stuff like that.
yeah, I did not realize they were. Because I figured out they're going to blow me off. They're going to tell me that we don't do that, because I mean, it's the tiniest little screw.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did. The guy says, yeah. He says, is there anything else you need? Because we're just going to scrap this out. So I figured, well, sure. I said, well, because if you're just going to scrap it out, I'd take a couple more of the pens. Why not? And he said, well, okay. And then another guy that works there says, no, we can't do that. And I said, you go stand in the corner. Never mind what we're doing here. But he seemed to have the authority. He come over and closed the box on my fingers as I was just grabbing a new pen.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got what I needed from him. I thought it was quite nice the way they did that.
Well, they do have good customer service. They really do. I've had a few things I've taken back.
I never realized that.
Yep, I had a few things I've taken back and never a problem. Young man that installed my hardwood floor a couple years ago, he was using a Central Machinery chop saw. And, I expected him to come in with a DeWalt or a Makita or something like that. And I asked him about it. He goes, yeah, I wear them out. I take them back. They give me another one.
Oh,
I
really?
Go, really? And he goes, oh, yeah, I just turned one in. It was 2 years old.
Well, see, their thing always, when you buy something like that, they're always trying to sell you the extra warranty.
Yeah.
And I always tell them, no, I don't really need the extra warranty, because Harbor Freight tool. I don't expect it to last 40 years.
Yeah.
But well, that's good to know that they're that good with that.
Yeah, I've never tested them on that. You know, I've always taken stuff back usually within a month or it starts going bad. But I got my dust collector from them, and when the clear bag was full and needed to be changed, I called up the 800 number because I didn't have any other bags with it. And I called him up to get more, and he said, I can sell them to you, but you know, you want to know a secret? He says, just go out and get 50-gallon contractor bags. They work just as good. They're nice and heavy. And that's what I've used ever since.
Oh, well, yeah, that would work. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got the dust collector from them years ago, probably 8-9 years ago.
Yeah.
And I keep renewing the warranty because it's only like $5. And I thought that was great. And I've replaced the motor twice.
Oh,
Really?
wow. I've had mine for 10 years. I've never had.
Second motor, they asked me, what model motor do you need? And I had no idea. And I got looking and they showed me the book. I got the one that runs on 110 and 220. So I brought it back and put it up on 220.
Sure, yeah. So yeah, I've had mine for 10 years. Never a problem with it, never a complaint. I did upgrade the top. I took the top bag off and I put a wind filter on, which you know, took it down to 1 micron instead of 5 microns. So a lot less dust in the shop.
And yet you find the Harbor Freight does not. When you buy a tool from them, it will show the parts breakout and all the little parts list.
Yeah.
But you try to order a part, they say, "Oh no, we do not sell any repair parts for a lot of our equipment."
Really?
So the option, if your extended warranty is expired, the only option is to replace the whole piece of equipment, even if the item that wore out or broke or whatever is something you would normally think of as like an expendable part. You know, a part that you'd expect to break or snap or wear out.
Well, that's nothing new.
The auto industry has done that
for years.
Maybe some of the bigger equipment. I haven't bought any of the bigger stuff from them, but a lot of their hand type tools and stuff. Nope. They say, we don't carry the parts for it, even when you call the 800 number.
Well, I can see some of the hand power tools and stuff like that. There'd be an awful lot of liability there if they were selling you parts so you can tear it apart and fix it. And really, the stuff is like my drill that I use for power sanding is the Harbor Freight. And the first one I had for 5 years, and the gear mechanism wore out. And I just went and bought another one because they were $30.
Right.
Well, some of it's really good, and some of it I like to get. You know, if I got one of those oscillating tools, and I didn't know if it's going to work out for me, it'd be something worth having or not. So I bought the cheapie from Harbor Freight, and when it started wearing out, I decided it was time to go buy a much better one from somebody else.
Yeah.
I still have it, but you have to crank down on that Allen wrench awful tight because there's only like one little tooth left to hold the blade in place. It's worn out, and you can't get repair parts for it, but nonetheless, it's okay for that. It's a good starter for a lot of things, for something you're not going to use very often.
Yeah, but you can take that set screw or whatever and pull it out, and more than likely pick up a replacement for pennies. But you'll more than likely have to buy a half a dozen of them. Just make sure, because it's all metric, and that's not something we're used to here.
No, it's not the set screw. It's the blade mounts on a little plate with teeth in it.
Oh yeah.
That are pushed up through that lock into the blade, and all those little teeth are gone. They've all worn out. So in order to do anything, I'd have to go out there and take the thing apart and re-engineer it and find some little way of drilling it out, putting little teeth pieces into it. Probably more hassle than it's worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's their whole marketing strategy.
Yeah.
So you were talking about trying new. So I did this, and you know, with the gradient colors. And so you start out with yellow, then you go to orange and red, and magenta, and then purple down here, and then I sprayed the rest of it with black. If I did it again, I would leave the purple off because it's just too close and you can't really see it down on the bottom.
Right.
Yeah.
Then I tried using the same stencil, which I cut out a frisket on this one, and I don't know if you can see it, but the quality of the first one, and then on the second one, it just didn't work. So that was an attempt, using this frisket material, wherever the heck that is. I don't know where it is.
Interesting. When you do the gradient colors, do you start with doing one color on the whole piece and then slowly build up your layers from there?
I think I did. I think I sprayed it, and then, but then when I was going down, yeah, I think I sprayed it all yellow, and then I feathered it so that it was, lightly coming in here to change. Yeah, so as you go down, you're increasing the colors.
Yeah. And where the orange is lightening up, you're doing that by pulling the airbrush away from the piece,
right?
Aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been
So
watching
that's
a few videos on it.
that's pretty much what I did, but I didn't mind my head. I didn't use an airbrush, and I didn't put all one color on first. I just went one color and then the next color down.
Mhm.
That's a good way to do it. I've not tried it with the airbrush yet.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it's something I want to get play around with as an airbrush.
Yeah, I've got a Greco. It's fine.
Yeah.
So this is the I just finished this out today.
Okay.
Sanded it 400.
Yeah, I love that crackle paint design.
Yeah, this is the WebFX stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that one. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that is a cool effect.
Yeah, it's real easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did one of those, just that same thing, the white and the blue, and I took it to a show and I sold it within 5 minutes. The lady walked in and she like walked right over to the table and picked that up and she said, "Oh, I really like this."
Mm-hmm.
And she set it down and she came back and picked it up and said, "I better buy this now, huh?" I said, "Yes, you better."
A few years ago, I made a shelf for my son's room. It was about 6 foot long, and it was all one piece, and it just needed to be bolted onto the wall. But what I did is I did the crackle paint, gray and black crackle paint on it.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a really good-looking shelf when it was done, and I had it setting out in the sun to dry. And I had a couple different people from my neighborhood who was walking, and they come over and they go, "Where did you get that at?" I just made it. No.
Well, I learned doing shows, people would come and say, "Well, I want to buy something, but I don't want to carry it around. So could you hold it for me?" And well, I would hold it for them, and then they wouldn't come back. So I started some years ago. I said, "I will hold it for you, but you at least have to give me a deposit on it, because if I set it aside, then you don't come back." "Oh, well, we'll come back." I said, "Well, the problem is I've had too many people not come back."
Yeah.
So I'm more than happy to hold it for you if you want it, but
Yeah.
I won't hold it unless you give me a deposit or pay for it.
Well, yeah, I learned that my very first show. So I don't set
Yeah.
anything aside unless they
Yeah.
give me at least half on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
I've never done a show.
They're fun. I enjoy it.
yeah, it's a lot of fun talking to people and stuff.
Yeah.
Although I have, since Christmas time, made $1,000 on Etsy.
Oh, very good. Good for
Yep.
you.
And it really wasn't so much that I did anything special with Etsy. I just got on Facebook and Instagram and started posting images of stuff that I made, and I said, now I'm out of my Etsy store. I've had a couple customers post pictures of the stuff they bought from me and telling people to go to my store, so that helps, word of mouth.
Yeah.
Things like that. And I've also lately I've advertised to people within a 15, 20 mile radius of Troy. you know, if you live in this area, you know, go on Etsy, find the item you want, but don't buy it from there. Contact me, and we'll work it out, and I'll just take it out of the store. And I sold quite a bit of stuff that way, you know.
Oh, good.
So, Mark, I like that in your demo last week, the work you did with the gilding wax. That came out really nice. I was surprised at how relatively easy that was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another one of those things, you know, I've got to try it. And, you know, I kind of get afraid of trying something. And I just got to get over that and do it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was with Halloween. And I finally just went out and bought Lyle's rig. And I said, you know what, if I rip something off the chuck, I rip something off the chuck.
Yep.
And I learned very quickly, light cuts, and you're done in no time.
Right.
Yep. That urn that I had on Facebook for my dog, I think it was 12 minutes is what I timed for hollowing it out. Once I got the hole drilled. So.
Are you using his carbide cutter, the Hunter carbide,
Yes.
or are you using the?
No, I've got the carbide. The tips that comes with them, they're okay, but they're very grabby. And the carbide, I just feel I can get I just kind of hold my hand in place and pull it back. So this is guiding, and I just pull straight back rather than doing this. I find when I do that, then it's grabbing too, even with the carbide. But it's a much cleaner cut too. So yeah, it works out really nice.
Mark, where did you say that you got those spray bottles that you used there? Those there was a whole box of about 12 different spray cans that you used in your workshop or your demo last week.
You mean the airbrushes?
Yeah, the airbrushes. Yeah.
I got those off of Amazon.
Oh, you
and
did?
they were Master Craft.
Yeah, I think it's Master brand. Yeah, because I was looking at airbrushes on Amazon. So if you go in and you type in the search airbrush, you'll come up with all their different airbrushes, and almost every single airbrush, especially the Masters brand, if you go into it and look at the reading on it, they'll also suggest this package of bottles as spare bottles.
Oh, okay.
And they're like a 10-pack, and they're not expensive at all.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing I just got from Harbor Freight, like I said, came with 10 or 6 pens and 6 bottles and all of that. Mark, I haven't re-looked at the video, but what was your air pressure for most of your airbrushing? Because it tells me I can go up to 50 psi.
Yeah.
I think I was like, I don't know. Let me plug it in and see what it goes up to.
Yeah.
But I think it was.
I thought you said 20.
Yeah,
I'll
20 or 30
during the
something.
demo.
Because the instructions I got said you can go as high as 50 to get a decent airbrush, but
I asked a street artist that did airbrush on shirts and stuff, and he said he ran his at about 30.
Yeah, I run mine at 30.
Yeah.
30, okay.
And it's an interesting thing about airbrushes. A few years ago, I did a course with Nick Agar, and he doesn't use the Iwata airbrushes, surprisingly enough, you know, the $300 ones.
Uh-huh.
He said the cheap ones are as good.
Yeah.
And he said when you throw them out, you can throw out 10 of them compared to an Iwata, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's the street artist that I talked to. I asked him where he got his airbrushes from. He goes, Harbor Freight.
Yeah.
He said, I've had them stolen before, so I'm not going to pay big money.
Well, a couple of years ago at club, Alfred or somebody was talking about airbrushing, and 4 or 5 people said they buy their airbrushes at Harbor Freight. They said for what they cost, they last pretty much as good as anything else, and they do a good job. So I have a Pache that I got years ago when I was working. I took an airbrushing class, and for $50 I got a very nice Pache airbrush. And so we took the class, and it went real well, and we were to go back and have session 2, which was more advanced, and the guy the guy that was teaching the class wound up getting arrested and going to jail for something or other. So the company that he worked for didn't replace him. So we never got our other class, but I still got the nice airbrush out of it.
Yeah.
And,
What I did was buy about 3 or 4 airbrushes and about 10 bottles with caps, and I can keep all the stains and everything that I use in the separate bottles, and just screw them up into the suction thing. A quick squirt soon cleans them out of the previous color anyway, so it doesn't matter much.
Yeah. Hey, I got to stop everybody here. DJ, can you unmute your microphone?
Hello.
How you doing?
Good.
That's good. You are the youngest person we've had here yet.
Wow, I guess.
Where are you located at?
I'm in the UK, in Thetford, so Norfolk. So, yeah, I've only been turning for about a year now. So.
Oh, cool.
Well,
That's
good
cool.
for you.
What kind
a year and a half.
What kind of things do you make?
I like all sorts. I've done. The only really painting stuff I do is either spinning out platters, spinned out platters, which I haven't done. I have done some, but I haven't got any at the moment. I do. This one's got a whole ink that I do it through, but like Joe Sonny paint stuff like that. I haven't done anything
Oh,
with it.
wow. Wow, and you joined the funnel club too.
Yes, I have.
Very good.
Well, welcome.
You're an official wood turner. If you
look at that! Look at that!
Double wing pour. I've
Look at that!
That is beautiful.
That was my first start at that, and I was trying to do a twisted goblet, twisted vase kind of thing. That when we hollowed too thin, it also broke. But then this is my second attempt. I can't finish it at the moment because I have broke my arm. But I'm doing. See that?
I quit.
Wow, you do a lot more than I do in only 1 year.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put a finial from I've got a piece of mahogany I can use. So I'm putting a finial, and also probably a new base on the bottom.
Okay.
I have done like a couple resin pieces. This is out of hammer beads. It's like a platter.
Nice.
I've done one out of pencils.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I still haven't finished the one in the inside.
Did you get the pencil idea from Nick Zametti?
No, I think it was Andy Phillips.
Okay.
To be fair, Nick Zametti, he does some cool stuff, but in my opinion, he ain't the best turner.
Well, no, he's not. He's a lot of fun to watch, though.
Yeah, he's fun to watch.
He's good and entertaining. Yep.
I haven't got.
I shall be back in a minute, folks.
Okay.
Cup of tea time.
Well, I've done some like square bowls and stuff like that, but I haven't got any now because the only square kind of thing I've got is I saw something like this where you do the square bowl and it would be normally like something like this and you tip it upside down and do the bowl inside.
Oh, okay. Very nice. You do good work, young man.
Yes, you do. Very good.
Well, welcome to the crowd. So,
well, he's a member.
He's what?
He's a member too.
Oh, he is?
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good.
He was one of them that joined out of England a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, Paul likes him, and that's that group.
Okay.
At times, I think Paul likes showing him off because he shows up some of the so-called pros.
Well, he does very nice work.
Well, that's good. It keeps the pros on their toes, you know?
Yeah, especially when a preteen beats you.
That's
embarrassing.
So how old is DJ?
I'm only 12.
12. Wow.
Awesome.
So.
Yeah, I wish I would have discovered this when I was 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started doing about a year and a half ago. I went to my dad was carpenter, but when I was younger, he passed away. But when I went to a craft show, and I've always loved tools since I was young. So a man gave me a chisel, and I started doing wood carvings, and then pretty much a lot of people liked them. So then I went to another show, and then I saw a club in wood turning. And then I gave wood turning a go, and I really enjoyed it. So.
Great, great. Well, that's the best place to be, is in the club, because you're surrounded by people that know the stuff and can help you and teach you, and
Yeah.
or you can help them and teach them. You know, that's the best part of the club. You know. So, hey, Mark.
Yes.
I was going to ask you on those bottles, when you bought them from Amazon, did they have caps on them? On the little tubes?
No,
My set came all together. But yes, you can get them. If you go out and look, there's some that have caps on them and others that don't. But then they also sell the little caps, for like 36 for $8.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because when I was looking at that online, there seemed to be a lot of conflicting answers to that question. Some people say, "Yeah, I got caps." Others says, "No, I didn't." And it was about even split, so it was hard to make a decision based on that.
Yeah, they also seem to have different angles. I know some have 30-degree angles, some have 60-degree angles.
Yeah, I saw somebody said that they wouldn't fit their master gun, and I was surprised by that.
I'm going to go buy some more, but I'm going to stick with master just because, yeah, you could probably get them a few dollars cheaper, not using the same brand name, but this way I'm pretty sure they're going to work.
Yeah.
Be compatible with what I already have.
Master's not badly priced either.
That's true.
Yep.
And their service is excellent. I know I got a gun from them, and I had a problem with the needle. And I called them, and they sent me out a whole new gun. And I said, should I take the other one back? And they said, well, we'll tell you, just throw it away in the circular bin that has no bottom. And I said, okay. So they know I have, and when I got the needle, there were two of them. I got a gun and the spare needle for it. Which replaced the original one. Because it's cheaper for them to give it away than it is to have a parts warehouse.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, I'm going to have to leave, so I'll see you guys all next meeting.
Okay, it was good seeing you. Take care.
Yep. Easy.
One thing I did for airbrushing is that I already have air in the shop, regulated, clean, dry air from a central compressor. And I didn't want to buy a separate compressor, so I got their little regulator and then outfitted it, and it simply plugs into an airline I have at the lathe. And then I have the regulator so I can cut the pressure I want down. And I found that much more convenient.
Yeah. Yeah, I was researching connecting up an airbrush to a regular compressor. And that's something across the board that everybody did is, they had either that little regulator or they used the compressor regulator. And but they always had a water filter on it. And
yeah, I got a filter system online that I liked out of China. But the interesting thing, it's all modular, and they all fit together with O-rings and a long spoon, and you can have whatever you want to run the air. So I got it, and it's very interesting because I set the air pressure for the shop. But to save electricity, I plugged it in to a circuit that is on the lighting circuit by accident. So when I turn the lights off in the shop, the compressor stopped. And
Well, that's really a good thing. Then you won't have all that extra noise when it has to refill itself in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
yeah, and
Well,
I
I've got-
thought that was excellent, so I've left it there.
I've got mine on a remote, and every once in a while I forget to turn it off when I leave the shop, and I'll be sitting upstairs, and it's a California air, so I don't hear it as much as I used to my old compressor. My old compressor, the whole neighborhood
yes.
doesn't hear it, you know.
Yeah.
But it's some, you know, it. What I usually hear of it is when it fills and it stops, it does a shh at the end of it. I hear that. I go, oh, run back downstairs.
Oh, I know when I've left my compressor on, all the lights in the house start flickering.
How many
That's a-
horsepower is it?
It's a fairly big one. It's a 16 cubic foot one.
Oh, wow.
But we need it for spraying as well and using air tools and stuff. So we need a constant airflow all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the one thing I liked about the regulator, I got a self-cleaning block that fit in the series. And when the air compressor turns on again, it actually reverses the air within the system and blows any of the water that had accumulated in the water tube.
Mm-hmm.
It blows it out into the air.
Oh, interesting.
So it can, a couple days ago when it was raining, I had a lot of water in the bulb. You know, I looked at it, and it's the first time that I've seen it that full from all the humidity. And I turned it off, and I stood there and I watched it self-clean itself and blow the water out. It did that before it would start pressurizing the line.
Interesting. Well, the only thing I've got on my compressor is my air gun. And so what I did is I just put the water filter on the bottom of my air gun. And that's a Harbor Freight. And it's got a little drain on it, but I never have any water in it. I don't seem to, I got a little dust and dirt in there, but no water. And the other day I lifted up my compressor, had it all to drain it out. Nothing came out of it. So I never have a problem with, you know, I'm dry in the basement here. I never have a problem with any kind of water in the compressor.
Well, I'm in a garage, and when we moved here years ago, I took an airline, PEX line, out to the fence within, well, the idea was, and it still is if you're airing tires on a car and stuff like that, you simply take the short hose and snap it in there, and now you got air for the driveway that'll take you all the way down to the street.
Yeah.
Because we've had times when people have had a flat out there and no air. So you drive the hose out, plug it in, and now they have air for whatever they're doing. And it's come in handy a few times. But I have that line and 4 other drops. And I have regulators on 2 of the drops. My lathe is 1, so I can adjust it just for the drop, anything that comes down from a T to the lathe. Because I often use it on the bandsaws, which is next to my lathe. You know, cleaning off the table, cleaning out the bandsaw itself, blowing it out into the air. So it'll get picked up by the air filter that runs all night to clean the air.
Okay.
I know it works because I keep replacing the filters. I wish I don't understand why a paper filter for an air system like that costs $9.
Yeah. Because they can charge it.
Yep.
That's why. So looks like Mark's working on something.
Yep.
This was one of the biggest surprises when we started doing the workshops on Zoom, is how many people don't have Wi-Fi in their shops. I know Ben worked on getting Wi-Fi out there after we started.
I've got Wi-Fi, but I'd still hook to an Ethernet cable.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't get any better signal than that.
Well, that's right.
Yep.
It's bad enough here already.
That's what I had. My wife uses the Wi-Fi because she works at home, but my son, I ran a cable from the router over to his thing because, you know, there's enough lag in his gaming and stuff like that that, you know, he'd be dead in no time.
Yes.
And, you know, that's not a pleasant thing, you know, so. And, you know, with the lag, too, they do that multiplayer games, and these guys get really upset when you're not keeping up with them and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I liked, it looks like he's gone, but I like DB's statement there before that when he was younger, you know, like he's 11, he's 12, and when he was younger, I had to laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's still with us.
Ah, there he is.
There.
Yeah. I'll show you.
I think he's so talented, and but he's a little shy when it comes to the group, and we meet, you know, twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that comfort level comes with time.
Yep.
You know, this is my next project I'm working on. This is another piece of that choke cherry that cracked real bad. And this one's going to give me a really good chance to really experiment with resin, because I got a lot of decent sized cracks in here, and some of them go pretty deep. So, and I think I'll even be pouring some from the end, you know, to get into some of it. So it ought to be interesting. The resin that's on here now was a spillover from, I used this to prop something up and place it on top of it while I was doing some resin, and that's how that got on there. So, but I just turned this round yesterday, and I'm going to get it probably chucked up this week and start doing resin inlay. Or I shouldn't say inlay, but pouring resin into it and seeing if I can fill up all the cracks.
Yeah, I've got a piece I need to show you. Let me head back to the shop and take my tablet, fire it up there, because I've got equal speeds everywhere in the house wirelessly now and in the shop.
Okay.
I'm just a nerd, but I had a trick, and it partly worked, and it failed to where I didn't want to continue, but I'm going to. Just a second.
Okay. No.
I would take you and show you my workshop, but let's just say I've got a new workbench and I'm reorganizing my workshop. Let's just say it ain't the tidiest.
Well, you're not the only one.
That's
you know.
right.
I have a little 10 by 20 workshop here, and it's got too much stuff in it, and it's not tidy at all. You can't make it tidy. You know?
I've got a corner of the garage.
Yeah.
And I have to back the cars out and make the mess everywhere.
Yeah. Then you got to clean up so you can put the cars back in.
Yeah, you kind of see a little bit of the kind of backed up a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's.
Oh, I'll probably upset you all. Mine's the main workshop's 40 by 25. Then I've got an annex on that that's 15 by 40, and then another workshop out the back that's 20 feet by 50, and 3 containers. So, and it's too small on the odd occasion.
Okay.
And in 32 years, it's never been organised properly.
It doesn't support that.
Yeah.
So I'm logging in from my phone so that I can show DJ my shop. Let's see here.
Shot of the computer.
Oh. Okay, let me get my headphones back on. So, DJ, can you see it okay?
Can you maybe look onto that screen? Because it keeps changing. Hang on.
Do what?
Yeah. Can you put it onto that screen?
Oh, highlight it. Okay.
Yeah, highlight that one.
Yep,
'Cause it
we'll do
keeps
that.
changing.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so there it is. That's the corner of the shop where I do all the turning.
Yeah.
So, and as you can see, that's where I set when I do the videos. Then coming over here, there's my bandsaw, dust collector, my bench / work table saw. So as you can see, there's nothing tidy about my shop because everything's packed in.
My workshop is pretty much the exact same size as yours.
Yeah.
A single car garage.
Yeah.
Or garage.
Used to be another young man that I used to follow on YouTube. I'm going to sign off from my phone now. So hold on a second.
All right, if we're showing off workshops, I'll be in a minute. I'll just go and turn some lights on out in the main workshop, and I can shift my camera around and show you.
Okay. Used to be a young man I followed from the UK on YouTube that was really good, and he had a little. I don't. He said it was a single car garage. It didn't look wide enough to put a car in, but he had a little long, narrow garage like that, and he did a lot of good woodworking in. And he was wasn't just a turner; he did other stuff too.
That's the young man that was. This Woodworks, is that what it?
Yes, and
yes, I can't remember his name now.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank, but he went to college, and so he's not done anything.
I was going to say he went to university and had to kind of give it up. But there's a young lady in England. They call her Caitlin the Cat.
Caitlin the Cat. Yep.
Yeah,
And
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's quite good. DJ may know who she is.
Yeah, we're friends on Facebook.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah,
she's a 15 or 16, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got her own little shop. So
it looks like Bob's out in his shop, and Rob was making me dizzy. So.
Rob was going to put us all to shame here.
Yeah.
Okay, just got to untangle some leads there.
Okay.
We just have to
And not fall over everything. This is. Can you just highlight me, please, Jeff, so as I can see what's going on?
Okay. Boom, 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 boom. There you go.
That's the lunchroom out there. This is my office, which is always a mess. Rightio. Now, I can't get out in the workshop too far with the lead here, but in that cupboard just there, there's all my tools and chisels, 220 of them.
Hmm.
That's the start of Henry there, which is a 40-foot lathe. That's my grinding setups and everything there. Hold on, I'll zoom it in a bit.
So Henry pulls double duty.
It's a 40-foot workbench on the odd occasion, yes.
Yeah.
There's all my grinders and everything there. Big Wadkin there.
That's longer than my house.
a little wood fast lathe there. My demo lathe that I take out to shows and things.
Mm-hmm.
There's a friend of mine's lathe there. I've just got to keep turning around to make sure I'm showing him what there. I've got another couple of lathes over there. I don't know if you can see them behind the thing there.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Another Wadkin and a big Wolfenden. And then around the corner here, don't know if I can get around there, another lathe over there. And then there's the big Wadkin along there. Henry and the big Wadkin Reg are bolted to the floor. That's my tool room up the end there. And the most important room in the whole thing, the toilet next door to that. So that's, but I've got all block and tackles and big gantries across. It's like a railway line in my roof.
Yeah.
Because of the work I do. So, yeah, that's my shed. Just a little place.
Very cool. Very cool.
All crap falling down.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Do you use all your lathes then? Or do you just, what's your favourite lathe out of all of them then?
My favourite lathe, depending on what I'm doing, is
Okay.
the little one in the corner that you couldn't see properly. Is my leg turning lathe for doing. I'm a production turner, by the way. The little one in the corner is where I do all my legs and stuff like that. I use Reg a bit for heavier work, and then Henry for long stuff. I can turn 33 feet on Henry. I do a lot of ships, masts, and flagpoles and things like that.
Whoa.
But they all have their uses.
Mm-hmm.
Be good if I was an octopus, I could use all of them at once.
Yeah.
So Robbo, those big long flagpoles and masts, do they split and crack after you get done, or are you somehow keeping the pith out of it?
No, everything we do these days is pretty well laminated. It's all laminated timber, so that it's kiln dried when we get it. And well, if they've done the laminations properly, no splits or anything in them.
Oh, okay, good.
So I see Bob's out in his shop.
Yep. One of the things I was going to show you about what you were talking about, and then I'll get my other to show you the shop you want, is that I had a piece of wood that was part of a pillar that held up a porch of a house that was built in 1810. The woman that died was they're related from the original people that built it. So the house got tore down and she saved the pillars because it had above this, people had carved, I should say below this, because that's the way it sat up in the house, had carved names and initials and dates and weddings all in the pillar. So this was left, and this is what she wanted her ashes in, along with her husband and one of their kids, but wanted an urn out of it.
Wow.
Problem was, it had a big split.
Yes, it does.
And
Yeah.
that happened a long time ago. I don't know when, long before I was even dreamed of, I bet.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been trying to fill it with resin. So what I did to keep it from running out on the end, popsicle sticks.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, to do that, that's what I was going to show you. Just that'll do the vaulting to seal it so as it wouldn't run out.
Yeah.
And then I realized after doing it this way, I had a popsicle stick at this end, but it wasn't glued down enough. So I've got to come along and sand this down so I got a good seal because the epoxy didn't seal it enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for some reason, the resin tended to make the epoxy soft. And I'm not sure why. So I've got to put it up and vault some of these because of the angle they're in, or however, because if I fill this up, I'm going to be running out here. So I have to vault it here, fill this up, you know, and vault crib it vertically.
Right.
But
Now,
it's beautiful wood and it's dry. Boy, is it ever dry.
Yeah, I imagine.
But that's going to be, they want a cap on it that they can open and close to add for family members.
Interesting.
So I'm going to use the, like I typically do, sewer flanges. Cut the top off, you know, with a square.
Yep.
Cut that off, cut the other off, glue it in there, make sure it covers it up. But they want a rubber, a live rubber gasket. So it can be opened to add family members. That's,
wow.
Never argue with a customer.
No, that's fascinating though. The family that rests together.
Okay.
That gives a whole new meaning to pass it on.
Yeah, no kidding.
Your great great
Wow.
grandmother, pass it on.
I never would have thought of that. Now, did you say you were using epoxy to put those popsicle sticks on?
Yeah, because they're all going to come off anyway.
Right. I use a lot of hot melt glue, and that works really well.
Okay, I got a gun. I just have thought that maybe the epoxy might dissolve it.
No, because I've been using duct tape, and then around the duct tape, I put a bead of hot melt glue, and
Okay.
I've not had any leaks from that, which is nice. But you do have to sand it down so it's not rough, and which you'd have to do with the popsicle sticks anyway. So
Yeah.
but yeah, give that a try. You'd be surprised. I've had no problems with the resin and the hot melt glue. It doesn't seem to affect it at all.
It doesn't get hot enough.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I had a new addition to my shop, a couple that, where's the other one? Stuck it up in my bench somewhere. I had a person that I had done an urn for sent me this as a thank you.
Oh.
Told me to stick it on the lathe. And it's the same metal I got and probably a lot of you guys got. So it's interesting. It's magnetic, and so people send stickers. I'm getting stuff like this.
Stickers is a hot thing. I've noticed that on YouTube. Everybody exchanging stickers. Yeah.
Oh, sideways view.
Is it?
Yeah,
Can I?
What's that?
Oh, I was about to say, can I share my screen and show you one of my favorite thing I've ever made?
Let me highlight you real quick here.
Look, I need to show my screen. Share
That's
screen.
okay.
Oh, okay. Yep. Hold on a second. Let's do this. Just
I think
gotta
this is one of
find
my
it.
best pieces.
Okay, you should be able to now.
Okay. Let me. Can I not select? Oh, hang on. Okay, sure. Okay, hang on. Let me find it. Oh, can I not scroll down? What's happening? Sorry. I'll sort this out. It was this. This isn't my shop. Can you see this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, it was this. This isn't my shop. This was at. I went round my teacher's house and we did a spun out platter made of oak. And if I have another photo, oh.
Well, somebody's turning resin there.
No. Yeah, I have to resin. Hang on, let me click out. I should have other photos of it. Yeah, have I got, that's it there. What have I got? I want to show you the back. Oh, where is it? I might not have it.
If you're like me, you'll find it 5 minutes after we end the broadcast.
Yeah, that's right.
Probably. Oh, that's also one of my favorites. This one here. It's
Oh.
What the heck?
Wow. That's beautiful.
I used iridescent. It's a piece of maple. I basically made it into like it's pretty much a vase, kind of deep vase, and then I sprayed it black, the inside and the outside, and then used iridescent paints, and then put a couple coats of lacquer on, and then that's what came out with. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's just beautiful.
Yeah, this is the same wood from the same piece of wood, but it's just different. It was different. This is what it looked like at the start, but it was thicker and stuff. And then I just spray painted it black, but that's what it looked like at the start. And then this is my square bowl I've done. My first one. It ain't the best because didn't finish it yet. But
which one is it?
It was something like. Can you see that? The square
Oh
bowl.
yes.
Oh, it must be some lag. Sorry, it's not. It won't finish because I didn't finish sanding all the inside and stuff. But this I was trying to experiment with different colors, and this was. I just tried to experiment in, but.
Is that iridescent paint also?
Yeah, that's iridescent paints around the side. I didn't finish the inside, but yeah, because I finished it now, but in that photo it wasn't finished because you can see some of the tear out. I might not have a photo. Oh yeah, this is what I started out doing. These carvings. I might have a photo of the back. I guess not. No. Well, that's what I've done. So.
That's fantastic, DJ.
Very good, DJ.
Yeah. You're a very talented young man.
I have a question for the young man, DJ.
Yep.
Did I see in one of those photos you using a spindle roughing gouge on a bowl?
No, definitely not.
Good. Good boy.
That's just stupid.
Yes.
I've seen photos of when I first started. I got shown some photos of somebody using that, and in the end, their spindle gouge was in the roof.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen quite a few people. I saw a guy one time at one of our very first workshops when we moved to Pontiac. We were doing a workshop on bowl turning, and this was an old gent. I don't think he's around anymore, but he was turning the inside of a bowl with a roughing gouge, a 1 1/4 inch roughing gouge, and there was 2 or 3 different people who went, "Whoa, wait, stop!" And he was just fighting with it. About had a heart attack. He said it was the only tool he had.
I've got a video up. It was the first video I ever did actually and put on YouTube because I got sick of telling people not to use the spindle roughing gouge on bowls, and it kind of ends in disaster with a lot of claret all over the lathe and various other things. So it got the point across. It's been picked up by over 500 clubs to go into their beginners pack. So I'm very happy about that.
Awesome. Yeah.
Oh, that could be something, because I saw on YouTube a video of somebody was turning a bowl with a spindle roughing gouge, and then I probably weren't you, but there was somebody said, "This is my bowl," and at the end of the video, you could see his arms all cut open. Yeah.
That possibly was me. I tried for 6 hours to get a catch with the spindle roughing gouge. Eventually I got it when I least expected it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you got to have the right tool for the job.
Yep.
And if you don't have the right tool, you don't do it then.
I also I watch quite a lot of videos. The one thing I really like about YouTube is there's really good people on YouTube and there's really bad people on YouTube. And you can basically watch the people that, let's say, aren't the best, and you can try correct their mistakes and say it, and that helps you actually learn quite a lot of things. I also like watching Stuart Batty videos, and there's quite a lot I've learned from him. you don't need to, like a planing cart, you don't even have to use like a spindle, not spindle, a skew. You can just use your spindle roughing gouge to do a planing cart, because you can do like the exact same thing. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff out there on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because I use YouTube to learn how to do CA finish on my pens, and I probably watched 40 videos, and it's like of the 40 videos, there was 40 different ways of doing it, and some of them were just horrifically bad as far as a waste of time and materials and stuff. One guy was doing 30 coats of CA. And, yeah, so what you end up with is it looks like you got wood under glass. And that's not what people want when they hold a pen. And so I took the better videos that I liked, the ones that I thought the people knew what they were doing, and I took bits and pieces of the different ones that I liked and combined those together into my process. And I demonstrated my process a couple months ago for the club, which you can see out on our YouTube channel. I think it was the March meeting, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think you're right. The necessary thing with YouTube is you've got to be able to separate the chaff from the good stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And until you've had some lessons, you really can't.
Yeah, it's tough if you don't know what you're doing in the first place, you know.
Exactly.
You got to know something to learn something. You know.
Has Max gone, has he? Can't see him there.
No.
Mark, at least. Mark Wallace.
Yeah, we're down to just us 6.
Oh.
So, well, Mark was online to cover any questions and stuff from his demo, and it just wasn't happening.
Yeah, we got waylaid.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I was said earlier about what I do, I have this little gadget that I put together.
Okay.
And it just, my shop airline just plugs into it. And then I have the 2 outputs. And one of the things, because I have 2 airbrushes now, I built a little adapter that gives me the ability to have 3 hoses directly.
Yeah, I have something similar to that.
Okay.
And that just plugs right in.
Oh, cool.
And then, of course, like magnets, I've got a magnet that, because I metal, this just sits on the tool post holder. And I have everything right there at my fingertips to adjust what I want for air pressure, you know, for the airbrush. And I still have shop pressure everywhere else for anyone else to use.
Great. Magnets are a wonderful thing, aren't they?
Quick question. Is an air compressor quite good for the workshop? Because I got told that you probably won't need it at the moment. And also, so I could have got one before, but I never did because the person said probably won't need it. But is an air compressor quite good then?
I'd say that it's essential. Well, it is in my place anyway.
Well, I think it is.
Okay.
It is for me too, because I like to keep my lathe cleaned off while I'm working, and you can't always grab a brush to do that. So I just give a little squirt, and it kind of goes up into my dust hood, and it actually I use it a lot for cleaning because I can blow stuff out of the corners and stuff that I can't get to with my broom. And then when I'm doing hollow forms, I can you got to keep blowing out the chips and the dust, or you're not going to be able to see what you're doing. So, so I think it's very essential. And when you're turning a bowl, I always, especially on the inside, I always blow it out to see how it's looking, because what can happen is the dust will get into the end grain and kind of hide any hide what you need to see to sand properly.
Yeah. Because when I done this, what we was using was like a little, because I haven't had air compressor. What I was just using was like a, what do you call it? Like a pump kind of thing, but you would blow like an air mattress, like that.
Oh, okay.
That worked. But Because
Well, I would recommend getting an air compressor. You don't have to get anything big and powerful. Mine's just a
Yeah.
little 4-gallon. I would recommend getting a quiet one though. They got the new quiet technology out there, and a lot of them aren't even priced any more than a regular air compressor. So
Okay.
having that quiet is nice because that's rough on your ears, especially, my compressor sits right next to the lathe. When I had my old one, like I said, my neighbors could hear it, and that's rough on your ears, and yeah, I agree with Robbo. I think it's essential.
Yeah. I've got a big 30-gallon air compressor in here, but I don't use it anymore. It's hooked to the system as a backup.
Hmm.
But what I got was, this is an odd place to get it, but a friend of mine was cleaning out part of a company, taking out a store that had gone out of business. They had sold a bunch of their old equipment off, and they had to scrap the rest. And the compressor that was used for cooling the big cabinets that they had was a good brand compressor.
Yeah.
I was very surprised because, well, it used to be used for compressing, I forget the gas anymore they use for
Freon.
Freon. It was certified for Freon. And I got looking up the number on the compressor from the manufacturer, and it covered air, but it had the extra parts to make it suitable for Freon, which were better gaskets all through it. So I called them and I asked them, can I put your other gaskets in? And they said, they're all interchangeable. No problem. But because I have that one particularly, if I give them, I get the gaskets for free because it had a lifetime guarantee on the gaskets.
Oh, wow. I had a buddy not too long ago come across an air compressor from a gas station that was shutting down because they were going to tear it down and put it in a convenience store. And so they told him, come and get it.
Yep.
And the only thing he had to do, he had to wire it for 220. But, and he had to build a room for it because it was so noisy. But, he loves it. I mean, his shop is never starving for air.
No, I used to have it's called a Vickers Ruwalt triple header compressor. It was 85 or 90 CFM that used to run a service station, and that was fantastic. But when it started up, the lights literally went out.
Yeah. Well, that's what he found. He had to put in a 220 circuit for just it, and then he found out real quickly that he had to build a room around it because of the noise.
We got 220 and 240 at least as standard. I don't know what you Yanks are so far behind.
I've often wondered why I should probably research it. I've often wondered why we ended up with 110 where everybody else has got 220.
Actually, it's an interesting story.
Yeah?
Yeah, if you do a search on it for on Google or that, you can find out. I actually read it the other day because I was curious why you had 110 and everybody else had 240.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently it's slowly being replaced by 220 all over the place anyway, so.
Interesting.
Yeah, I remember reading an article about that a long time ago, and it was, to me, I thought, at least the article that I had on it when I was studying in college, is that it went back to the days when they were trying to promote the electric chair, and P.T. Barnum was involved in a lot of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to kill an elephant, 220 worked very well, but 110 only pissed it off.
Yeah.
So it was determined that 110 at that time, because it was 110, not anymore, but it was, if it wouldn't kill an elephant, it wouldn't kill you or your pets.
Yeah.
And that was in newspaper articles and all over. Make sure you get the non-death electricity.
Yeah.
And that was a big pitch at the time. But in reality, as you would know, we're split phase.
Yeah.
We're 220 split phase, technically.
Yep.
Whereas people don't understand that, because I've got 220 in my shop all over the place. And out of the same box, I also have 110.
Right. Yeah. Because of split phase. I know. I used to work with 220, 440, and 660 3-phase when I worked in the factory. I was a licensed industrial electrician, and so yeah, there's a big difference there on how that stuff operates. And
But technically, 220
I know there was a big battle between Tesla and Edison in the early days as to whether it was going to be AC or DC, and what the voltage was going to be. I know that was a part of it.
Yeah,
And,
you're dead right. That's exactly what it started out as. Like,
yeah.
Edison wanted DC, and Tesla, of course, was AC. So, but out here we got 240 and 480.
Yep. I know my grandfather on my father's side worked with, at that time, the Edison Company doing 220 installations in Canada, because they were 220 for a while to the house, and then they dropped it down to 110, or at that time it was still 110, but I was a little kid. At the time that they had to go around, I remember my aunt's house, she had to have a new motor for her refrigerator, and the government paid for it.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm going to do some research on that. That fascinates me.
There's quite a lot about it out there, actually. And like I said, I got curious about it about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I can't remember the exact content, but yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm also going to do a little bit of self promotion there for DJ there. If you look up Robbo Robertson YouTube, you'll see some interesting turning there. All right, it's all real turning, spindle stuff. So
Robbo Robinson, did you say?
Robbo Robertson, yeah, the same as what's underneath my photo up the top there, or wherever it is on the thing.
Because as far as I know, Robo is the only member of our club who is technically a true professional turner, earns 100% of his income from it.
Yeah, I've got you.
Yep.
I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I think it's a good thing.
Yes, I learned all about how to use this tool and use it right. You know, and I'll tell you, I've joked with Robo, and because he kept talking about it online down there, and when he did a demo, he's got a video on how he does all sorts of stuff with the same tool, because it's a skew and any other tool you want it to be, as long as you use it right, you keep the edges flat. And I've watched him with that come up and cut such straight lines, and I sit and look at, I wish I'd known that years ago. To me, it was a dangerous tool, and it sat in the bottom of my toolbox.
But you don't use it on bowls.
No. It was actually the first tool that I owned and used, being a pen turner. And, you know, I used the full-size 1 1/4 inch roughing gouge to take the pen right down to the bushings. And, and it works quite well. But, you know, it was Captain Eddie video that got me using it properly. He's got a good video on that also, you know, slicing the wood.
Yep. But knowing how to use this as a skew really taught me some really neat tricks, and I use it all the time. But only for certain pieces that I'm working on. It's a beautiful skew. But you got to sharpen it right, too.
Right. Yeah. Yep, most definitely.
DJ was going to say something there, but he disappeared.
Has any of you got Instagram?
I do.
Okay.
You want my Instagram handle? Let me look it up because I don't remember. I'll give you my Facebook also. Let's
I haven't got
see. Go into my profile. Add a Okay, Instagram, it's Jeff Walters, all one word. And that's WALTERS, and the number 625.
Jeff Walters.
625.
But yeah. Yeah.
You see, that's the advantage of youth. Now, it'll take me 15 minutes to get into Instagram. And he says, oh, yeah, just got it. You know?
Yeah, and we are now following each other, DJ.
Yeah.
So let me go to my Facebook.
I won't be able to add you on Facebook. I haven't got Facebook, but I can always give it to my mum because my mum runs an account for me.
Oh, okay. So
if you could probably search up my name and follow that if you want my account.
Okay.
All it is Woodcrafts by DJ. Woodcrafts _
Wood
crafts. That bit's all one word.
Okay, wood
Craft _ or just put by DJ. You'll probably find it.
_
By _ then DJ.
Okay.
DEJAY.
DEJAY. There you are. I just liked you.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. So because you were just saying about air compressors, I've just looked at some like some. So it don't have to be it because most of the ones on here are I put under 6 liters. So is that fine? Under 6 liters.
You need a little bit bigger than that sometimes for some of the things you're using.
Okay.
6 liters is a bit small.
Yeah.
That's.
Oh, we got a latecomer coming in, Henry Morgan.
Oh, Henry Morgan was a bush ranger out here.
Hi, Henry.
Good morning.
How you
Just
doing?
got in.
Yeah.
All right. Getting ready to go out to the boat.
Ah.
And I drop in for this.
Going to be a nice day.
Hopefully.
I'm going to upset Jim, see?
Well, yeah, that's why they say that you're down under.
He wanders all over the joints. I thought I would.
But I'm looking at the clock. Evidently, Robo is tomorrow.
I've been tomorrow for a while.
Yeah.
You lot are yesterday.
But being tomorrow, you should be able to look back in time and tell us the winning lottery numbers for us.
Oh,
don't work that way.
Somebody already got the Mega Millions, so 515 million.
You know, I reckon that's an obscene amount for lotteries. Like, I think in America they only get a certain percentage, don't they? And then they get a certain amount over the next 4 or 5 years.
It depends. They get a choice of getting monthly payments for however many years, or if you take the one lump sum, you basically get half of it.
Yeah.
After you're done with profit taxes and stuff like that. So.
There's not many people that have won lotteries that 2 or 3 years down the track have still got any of it left. They seem to go stupid, a lot of people.
Yep. There was just a special on TV about that. The millionaires that aren't millionaires anymore, and they showed this one guy. He won I think his take home was $8 million from this lottery he was in, and he was broken in 14 months.
Yep. Yeah,
He had
they buy flashy cars and
flashy cars, mansion. He bought a mansion. It was 30,000 square feet. You know, stuff like that, and you know, it's crazy. You know.
a friend, well, actually, my wife's cousin won one of the lotteries out here, which is about $2 million in total. Like it was a house and the big yacht and the new car and all that sort of thing. And she was very wise with it. She took the house and sold it. Didn't need the boat, so she sold that too. In fact, the dealer bought it off her, and she's sitting very nicely now. Thank you very much.
I always figured the best way of really winning in the lottery is to keep the money in your own pocket. So according to that,
right,
30-some years, I'm doing quite well.
Yeah.
But years ago, when I employed 23 mechanics and 27 on the staff altogether, we put up, out here we have what's called Tats Lotto. Now, the most numbers that you can buy is 15. So there's 40 numbers altogether. So we put a blackboard up and put down everybody's pick, basically of a number each, you know. In the 9 years we had it running, we won $432 if we'd put any money into it, out of an investment of something like $200,000 or $300,000.
Yeah, yeah. My biggest win was $100. And usually I get, you know, if I win anything, I get enough to get a bottle of Coke or a Slurpee.
At 7-Eleven.
Yeah, where I bought the ticket from.
Yeah.
Amazing how they have that figured, isn't it?
What's that?
Amazing how they have that planned out.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I'll tell you what, if I did win the lottery big, I would have the most amazing shop, and there'd be numerous woodworking machinery companies that would love me forever.
It's rather sad at my age. I've got everything I need, and I couldn't spend it.
Well, you know, it's funny because you know, this is one of those hobbies where, you know, it's the old saying, the guys with the most tools wins. You know, and but you know, when you sit back and look at it, like I look at my shop and everything, and my wife, you know, birthday will come up or Christmas come up. What do you need in your shop? And I'm thinking about it. I really don't need anything. Darn.
It's sad, isn't it?
Yeah. So you know, I've got this extra money that I had saved up that for the retreat, Ron Campbell's retreat, because Carter Tools was going to be there. So he told us to, you know, order your stuff ahead of time, and then they'll have it there for you. And so I went to Carter Tools, and I was just going to get a circle cutting jig, make it easier for my logs and stuff like that. They don't have them in stock. Won't have them until August. You know? But I don't need it. I can do just as well without it. But yeah, it's, you know, if you take a hard look at what you've got, you'll probably find that you got pretty much everything you need. I got a great lathe, not as long as I'd like it to be, but it does everything I need it to do. And the only way I would probably upgrade to another lathe is if this one died, because I don't.
You've got the DVR, haven't you?
I got the DVR, yeah, and it's got the Saturn electronics in it.
Headstock, yeah.
Yeah, it's been upgraded. So, but the day's going to come when you won't be able to get the parts for it anymore. So.
Well, that's true. I must admit, that's why I like a lot of my old machinery, because it's only bearings or anything that give in on it.
Yeah.
And bearings are easily replaceable, and they just tick away all day for 8 or 10 hours whenever I need them. So.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something to be said for that, you know. And one of the things I noticed is, like, I had a Grizzly lathe before this, which was the Grizzly equivalent of the Jet 1642, and which was a belt driven. And belt driven, You know, when I put my my key into my chuck, you know, it was very easy to just you know, have it sitting there for a second while I grab something. You can't do that with the DVR because there's no belt. It's all direct drive, and you know, and the thing will spin forever. You know, it just spins forever. There's no tension on it at all. And so that took a little getting used to, especially when I was taking something off the chuck and putting the key in and turning it. It wanted to move up and down and everything like that real easily, you know. So, but I like it. The only two things I wished that I wished it had is I wished I had a little bit longer bed, and I wish the headstock would move down to the end.
Well, you can get bed extensions for those.
Yeah, you can, but they're crazy priced.
I know.
Yeah, and you know, you can't find them used, at least not around the States here. I've been trying for a couple years now, and but they're, you know, they started about $265 for a 20 inches extension, and I just can't do that. Yeah.
I've been looking for some time the adapter to go on my Powermatic for the swing away.
Yeah.
Because as I'm getting older, for some reason, the lathe is gaining weight. Probably the weight that I'm losing.
It's funny how that works. Yeah.
They can get rid of that. I have a bar stool I stick at the end of the lathe that I can simply slide it over so I'm not lifting it off the floor.
Right.
But,
yeah, I've known people to have those little Rubbermaid carts. Well, yeah, it's funny how heavy things get as you get older.
And the floor gets further away too.
Yes.
I noticed that.
And I'm not getting any taller, I can assure you.
If anything, we're shrinking as we get older.
Yeah.
So.
I have a wood question for a couple folks.
Okay.
Look at. Let me show you a little if I can get this on the.
Let me highlight you. There you go.
A little cherry bowl that I started quite some time ago, and Paul Zirkle said, no, I turned it way too thin. It was going to crack, and it did. So I filled it and gooped it up with some epoxy, cracks and splits and stuff like that. And I've got it kind of down now to where it's sanded. I'm about 120. I still got some scratches and stuff in it. But if I'm not careful, I'm going to sand a funnel out of it just at 120 grit.
Yeah.
It's pretty thin, but that's just kind of fun. I wanted to show you that. But here's a piece that I have of sweet gum. I was showing the other week that we had some sweet gum that was available, and here is this nice big chunk of sweet gum. And when it's about 4 to 5 inches thick, depending on where you're measuring. About 10 1/4. I'm going to cut to about 10 1/4 round. I'm thinking it might be nice. I could try to do a deep bowl with it. I've got it. I don't know if you can actually see it very well or not.
Oh, we can, yeah.
So I've got one edge is kind of all cut very crooked, and the other side's got a bunch of about 1 inch of bark here. But I was thinking rather than try to make a deep bowl, which is something I haven't actually done yet, I think what I'd like to try to do is actually maybe mount the faceplate on the side that has on my left where I have the bark, and square off the other side a bit, and maybe actually kind of square it off a little bit, and maybe actually saw off put a mortise in it and then saw off a big chunk of it, maybe a couple of inches, to make a platter. Yeah. Which I haven't tried yet, but would that be smart to do, kind of round it and clean it up a little bit, and then while it's mounted on the lathe, I can lock the lathe and play with it that way. Would that make sense to try it that way, or is that a dangerous?
Well, I've done that many times. Deep bowls can be a pain, and deep bowls can be a pain to turn on the inside, and especially if it's not a really large, wide piece of wood. And I've got some ash here that I bought from Live Edge Detroit, and if I turn those into bowls, they'd be about 6 inches deep. So I cut the blanks in half on my bandsaw, and so I got 2 bowls out of them. So by going that narrowness, where it was 3 inches, I can get more of that tapered traditional bowl look rather than having something that goes down in. And that's much more pleasing to the people's eyes when they see that nice arc.
Yeah, and my thing is my bandsaw only takes just a little bit over 5 inches of thickness. So
yeah.
How
are you gonna cut it?
I was thinking if I had it standing and actually kind of hanging on the chuck on the faceplate. I was thinking of just coming down very, very, very carefully with my chainsaw once I got the one end cleaned up.
Okay. One thing you're definitely going to want to do is you're going to want to put some wood underneath it, kind of jammed underneath it to brace it, so that you're not putting undue torque on your bearings.
Ah, good plan.
Yeah.
Because my bandsaw is not even going to think about handling it.
Yeah.
And I can use a big pruning saw, bow saw, but that's a lot of muscle.
You'll be at it for a while. Yeah.
I might do that for the last little bit.
Does your lathe, can you lock the spindle on your lathe?
I can pin it. So I've got indexing pins, so I just jam I cut the end off of a screwdriver and I jam it in there, and it wobbles a little bit, and it's not a tight bit, but it works.
Now, another thing you can do is you can also use a parting tool if you've got one that's long enough.
And strong enough.
And strong enough, because you're going to be going out over that tool rest quite a bit. Yeah.
I'm going to go against the thing here. Can I just have a look at that blank again, please, Jim?
Yeah.
Right, there's a fairly big knot just
right
on the edge there. Yeah, there. Now, if you turn it into a platter, that's just going to disappear. I can tell you that now with sweet gum. The shape that I would go for is, I don't know if you can see that in the camera or not, is I would leave it that size and do that. Come up like in a sweeping curve, like a tulip or a trumpet shape.
Okay.
And like put your faceplate on the bark side, so as you turn that knot out, and then come up from there. And put your chuck on the.
Rotate it, rolled around a little bit, and then there's another knot right here.
Yep.
That's kind of in the middle.
Well, where's the bark side? Against your stomach or away from it?
I think right now the back side, I want to mount the faceplate on the part next to my stomach, but that's the flattest. And then I would probably look at it and say, well, I could make because I've got this nice little bit of bark here, which I know I'm going to lose at the edge, so I could do the bowl or platter out of here and just accept the fact that it's going to be swept up a little bit at the edge and take some of this off.
Generally if it's the same as our eucalypts out here, it is very hard to get the bark to stay on them anyway.
Well, I noticed when I took the tree down, there were chunks of the trunk that just from falling, the bark was coming off.
Yep. But that's what I'd do with it. Like I'd mount the faceplate, as I said, on that bark side, and that'd get rid of the 2 knots on it then. And you can come up and like a trumpet shape. And it's very easy to turn.
And then I'd be able to make 2 different things out of it. So.
Oh no, you just make the one bowl out of it, because a trumpet shape lends itself to being reasonably deep in a lot of cases.
Oh, okay. I was thinking make more like platters, or don't you think this is good for a 7-channel like a plate or platter?
No, if you cut that in half, you're going to lose 1/2 of it anyway because of the knots. The knots will fall out or to break out.
Okay.
Unless you super glue them in.
No, right now it's just I've just got glue and anchor seal on it.
Yeah,
no, actually just anchor seal.
But by the time you turn to to a round shape and then split it down the center, one half of it's going to have two opposing, excuse me, two opposing knots in it, and they will probably fall out unless you glue them in.
Oh, okay. So I thought it'd be, if I was going to try a platter, how thick should my piece of wood be to begin with?
Doesn't matter.
I think my first one that I did was 1.5 inches thick. That was a comfort level more than anything else. I know some guys will start with less than that, but you know, it was the first time I used a mortise for turning, and so I felt more comfortable having 1.5 inches thick. So you could even call it a bowl to some extent because it was deep enough. But you know, if it's your first time out, that's what I would go with, is about 1.5 inches.
All right, so that gives me an idea of what to aim for, because I've got some pieces here I can do some things with. I just wasn't sure where to start.
Yeah.
The only thing is, what is this your first platter you're doing?
Yes.
Okay. If you're doing a mortise, like can you see my, hang on, this ain't the best example. Like something like this.
Let me highlight you real quick.
Okay.
Okay.
If you can see, this has got a foot on. It's got a foot on. Can you see that, Jim? It's got a foot on. There. You've got to be careful, because if you make this is about maybe 2 centimeters, maybe 1 centimeter wide, 1.5 centimeters wide. You've got to be careful with this, because when you're clamping out, if you clamp out too hard, it'll crack it, and you might not notice, and it will come off when you're turning the inside. So you've got to be pretty much reasonable for how big the piece of wood is to how big your tenon is, or not tenon, your mortise is. So you've got to just be careful on how thick and wide your foot is if you're putting a foot in, because it can always snap and break. I think that's how my first piece came off, with a mortise, when I did a foot too thin. So you just got to be a decent size of a foot, and it's safer if if you can see there, it's got a little foot on, like I just showed you. But
yeah, I see it. Yes.
Yeah, the mortise is actually inside the piece of wood. It's not actually using the foot. This is just a decorative piece. It's actually using the mortise goes to about there in the piece of wood, so it's got more wood to clamp onto than just the foot, because the foot will break.
Now, BJ, what you've got to remember is that you're talking to Americans. They don't understand real measurements, all right? So
10 centimeters.
1 centimeter, which is 10 millimeters, is 3/8 of an inch, okay?
Okay.
I've got my handy dandy metric ruler here, so.
Sorry, I couldn't resist having a crack about that.
I know. I was expecting something about pens since I mentioned them.
That's just Australian. That's just foreign humor. They think we don't get it, but we can.
Hey, while we got DJ highlighted, you want to ask your question that you put in the chat? And I think Rob was the best guy to answer it.
I just put in the chat, is a 24-liter air compressor okay?
I think so.
Okay.
For around general workshop use.
Yeah.
I normally work in cubic feet per minute, which is CFM, but I'm not up with the metric sizes on compressors, but 24 sounds pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah. And see, I don't know what that is in liters. You know, I got mine in gallons.
Yeah.
Yeah. And mine's a 4-gallon, which is about the minimum I would want in a shop.
So what this says, max pressure 8 bars. What does that mean?
Do a conversion in Google between bars and PSI.
Yeah.
Which is pounds per square
It'll probably
inch,
pull up
right?
a calculator that you just put in the bars and it'll automatically do it for you.
Yeah.
I use that a lot.
So do I.
Especially between decimal and fractions.
Oh
yeah.
8 bars in PSI is 116 PSI.
That's fine. Yep.
Yeah, that's good. I generally run my compressor at 90 psi. Or that's the maximum pressure I take it up to, and then for my air gun, I have that turned down to about 50 psi.
Most air tools work at 90. We run our compressors at 150 psi on grinders and things like that because we need the continuous airflow.
Yeah, yeah. And that's where the bigger tank comes in real handy too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So. Okay,
that'd be a good size actually, BJ, probably.
Yeah.
That, because you won't be using it continuously, so it's just for blowing things down or blowing holes out or getting rid of dust off a bowl or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is one thing that I will tell you. If you're blowing yourself down, getting rid of dust, do not put it anywhere near your face, all right?
No.
Because you can blow stuff into your eyes.
I've heard that because I've heard the person that told me probably you've got to be careful with the air compressor. It can actually give you the bends.
No, that's a fallacy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know, you can injure yourself very badly with a compressor. When I was in high school in wood shop, we had one of my classmates blew out an eye.
Yep.
With his air gun.
Basically, the rule is do not put the air nozzle anywhere near an orifice. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you can even blow your skin loose too.
Yeah.
Oh, you can. Yeah.
I once heard that some of the alligator hunters, when they get their prey, or some of these big game, they literally put a slit in it and pump it, put an air nozzle in it and puff it up, and it pops the skin loose from the thing so that they can actually skin it and salvage the skin without a whole lot of cutting and work on it.
Oh, interesting.
Necessity
is the mother of invention.
Yeah, but apparently that's one of the reasons why they don't like to have too many other cuts and holes in it to begin with, because it makes their job difficult.
Yeah.
Go figure.
We've got 15 minutes to go. I don't know if you guys noticed it or not, but on the invitation it said till 1 o'clock, and that was a mistake. We're going to cut it off at 12 our time, and but this has been a fun Turners Talk. We really covered a lot.
If anyone's interested, I brought my phone if they wanted to see my messy shop.
Sure.
It's been compressed from a full garage to half a one.
Yeah, let me highlight you. We're always in for a shop tour. Okay.
My phone.
Yeah. Oh, your phone. There you go.
That's much easier to show. Since I have a quarter of a garage, when I'm at my lathe, that's what I see.
Okay.
My tablet is suspended, my phone is suspended, so I can talk and do stuff. But right now I'm getting ready. I've got an order to turn some spindles. They want 40 of them. On a recall, they used the wrong kind of wood when they made them, and they kept splitting out on the chairs. So that's what I'm up to today and tomorrow. And I got all the blanks I've cut.
Is that the job that Paul Zirkle was looking for somebody to do?
No, I got this one from a friend of mine with the Detroit Historical Society.
Oh, okay.
And I keep all my wood on the wall. I have a shelf, and my pen stuff's up there too. I don't do much of it, and I've got my wood. The Carter Perfect Circle Cutter, that Accurite, I helped develop it. I'm the one that put the little finger on it.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted to get, but they're out of stock until August.
You need one? Come by and I'll give it to you to use until then. I haven't used it in quite a while.
Do you want to sell it?
Could be. We can talk offline.
Okay, we'll talk offline.
No, let's have an auction now.
Hey, I do want to ask you about your LCD screen there.
Yes.
The one, yeah, that's a nice little unit. What is that?
Oh, that's just an Amazon 10-incher.
Okay.
And I found a clamp I can use here that'll hold it, and I got one for my cell phone. It's all flexible, and
Okay.
they're just to the rafters.
And you use a cell phone as your camera?
Yeah, that I can move around, but that camera is a fixed camera, and it's designed for people holding it in their lap. So, in essence, if I turn the camera on now, I would be over here somewhere.
Ah,
Because it's designed to be looking up at you if you're holding it in your hands.
oh, okay. So that's like that. That's essentially it's a camera and a monitor.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'll have to check that out because I'm looking for something like that myself. And because I'm still working on setting up things here in the shop for video, and I've given up on those webcams that I was using. That just turned into be a nightmare. So I've got a camcorder now that I'm going to use for overhead.
I just use a 19-inch TV as my monitor out in the workshop.
I just don't have the space.
Oh,
So
right.
that's why I need something like Bob's got there.
So is that just an iPad you would use for a camera and as a monitor?
I could, but I could buy 7 of these for the price of one iPad.
Yeah.
Of size.
Oh, so that's not an iPad?
No, it's just an Amazon Android.
A TV. It's a TV.
If I want it to be, yeah. But
Yeah,
it's on the internet. And it runs any of the Amazon apps.
Oh, so it's a true tablet then.
It's a true tablet.
I thought it was just a monitor because what I get, I'm going to be running through OSB software, so I can do switching between cameras and stuff.
Yeah, but that'll show up.
Yep. Okay.
My
Cool.
dust collection is behind it.
Yeah.
And
Good old Harbor Freight.
oh yeah. I have it behind it, and I'll run around the other way, but I have the feed to my lathe that I can move around where I want it. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
The headstock of my lathe, since I'm lazy, collects everything. It's like a teenager, but magnetic.
Yeah.
I can reach and grab to turn off. This is the overhead. This is the shop vacuum cleaner. This one actually will turn on and off the monster in the back. And it blows up.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, we were at a show once, and we didn't have the bar up to hold the top of the bag like that, right? So we had it tucked down in the thing. When we hit the button, a woman standing there said, "Geez, I wish my husband could do that."
For dust collection, I get rid of the light here. It sits directly over the lathe.
Yeah.
And I love magnets because I got a power strip, and in my shop, everything is on one of 3 separate circuits. And of course, up here, I have power that feeds my camera and stuff like that plugged in as a charger. And it was a neat gadget for $10 online, and I just stuck the magnet on it. But I like that. It just goes through filters. Being so close to the lathe, it gets dirty quick.
Yeah.
My stack back there is a monster stack, but that's the only way I could get a trash can on the bottom with a dust collector, a centrifuge, so everything settles to the bottom of it. And it's much easier just to pop that lid off and take the trash can out, because I don't put any harmful wood in it to speak of, and it ends up in the mulch.
Oh, okay.
And if I go through the other half of my little cubicle, of which it's looking at what the room I have to work, it's not much.
Yeah.
But I do have my saws over here. Alexa, turn on bandsaw lights.
Bandsaw lights doesn't support that.
Oh. Alexa, turn on bandsaw.
Here's the Dance by Garth Brooks on Apple.
That's the problem having a teenager around. He loves using what the commands are, just to piss me off.
And that is the epitome of laziness.
Yes, but the turn them on and off is way down the way, and everything in here is LED lights because I'm running on a 50 amp circuit for the whole garage, and it's 50 amps 220. But it was done in 62, so it has a D-rated neutral. So it's illegal today, but I have everything running on the hops that I can, the main legs, and I only have one 15 amp AC left over. And the inspector said that's all right. But he'd never seen it done, but it is by code back in the 60s.
Yeah.
So my airline is all in PEX, and it runs up into the rafters, and on the other side of the garage door, there's a reel with a hose, and it runs the same PEX following the fence line, and then it's buried to go out, so there's available next to the house for changing tires. Workbench is always a mess.
Yeah.
With front.
Horizontal surfaces.
Yeah.
The curse.
Flat surface syndrome.
Yep.
Yes. And then this box is everything but wood turning tool. But I like having the little plastic boxes above. I can label them, and it's something that I have totally encompassing the shop, including the library at one end, because it's much easier. It's one of these things that you want to do someday, and it's up there, or I've already started it, or someone else did. It's up there. So when I get bored, it's up there. As I say, my dust collection system is kind of a mess because but it works. It has to be compact. The vacuum cleaner, it has its own filter in the back in order to pick up the heavy stuff from the lathe when I use the shop vac.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my duplicator hung on the wall. That's the one I bought years ago for doing duplication, balusters, and spindles for a house restoration. They paid for it, plus give me $10 a piece, and there was like, and I thought that would be a good tool to do it with. And I happened to have at that time a brand new, I won't say new turner, but he's DJ's age at the time, and I got pictures of him. I had that all set up, and he turned them all, and he took $5 a piece for turning them, and he felt very rich. All I had to do was put them on the lathe, keep it on the lathe, and later put them on the lathe and sand them. So, and all the rest of this behind here is garden stuff and that, but I have the shower curtains up because I want to keep them, the dust out of the other side.
Yep. Well, this is just proof positive of what we're able to do with our small chops and make them work for us. It reminds me of TV studios. A lot of people don't realize how small TV studios are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I remember my first interview years ago in a TV studio. I walked in, and I always pictured the show I was on. I always pictured as this big, large room and stuff like that. I went in there, and I was in the corner of a small room, sitting in a chair, and that's all it was. And
I must admit, when I started out, my shed was 10 feet long and 6 foot wide.
wow.
And I had a veranda post lathe that used to poke out the door. So the headstock was outside, and I couldn't turn veranda posts on a wet day.
It almost sounds like your protege there in Australia and his lathe problems.
Yeah,
well,
he's got a pretty small one, too.
Yeah, well, that's the size mine was. His is slightly smaller than that, but not much.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing I believe in is safety. I have face shields for people that come to the shop all the time, and mine is sitting here behind me.
Yeah.
And in order to keep the teens happy, I labeled them because they would fight over who had what shield, and it was cleaner. And
Yeah.
you got mine dustier.
Yep. Got to have that.
Yeah, the hollowing system I designed for Carter, it's all on the wall in pieces and in drawers.
Mm-hmm.
This is stuff I'm working on today. But I like the roll around because at Tech Shop, that's what we had. And this is mostly, all this stuff is part of the deep hollowing system that I designed, because I can take that, of which is one of my favorite tools, and I can stick it on a 2-foot or 3-foot deep hollowing bar up to 1.5 inch, which was the maximum size that went with the original Carter. Some people, that's fairly well known for some turners that watch on YouTube, but of course he had the short handle. I can use it up to 25 inches deep in a hollow and have absolutely no vibration because it's fastened to an 1 3/4 inch bar through the hollow roller system. And this is just all the crazy tools that I've picked up that are this way. And of course, you recognize that one.
Yep.
But I keep all my tools labeled so I know what cutters go where. And I find these little boxes so handy. And the kids use them when they were in elementary school for storing stuff. And when they're done with them, I get them. And of course, Ron Brown, Pastor Brown, I know him as that. I've got all of his tools because I knew him when he was pastor. So, and of course, the ones I use the most often.
Yeah.
So that's what I got for a shop. And this is what, I got a sanding. This is a station that I have liked. This was cheap, Harbor Freight again, completely. And it was a welding stand. And on the back of the welding stand, it holds a tank. Well, that's a tank that goes back to my days when I used to do a lot of paintballing. It's got a J tube in it, but it's pressure tested. And I use it as a backup for my vacuum pump, of which is mounted underneath.
Okay.
The switch on the side turns the vacuum pump on and off, of which up to my headstock, so I can control it up here for pressure and everything that I want. But when I want to go some places and take this with me, I can just get someone to help me lift it into a vehicle, but it has the pump, and then it's got the sanding, the stuff that I use. I like this for spindle sanding. If I got like these big spindles I got to do, it's so much easier to simply hold it up and go end to end in a couple of seconds. I've got it sanded. Maybe I'm lazy, but it works.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, and everything is in there. And that's, as I get older, magnets are my friend because they're everywhere on the lathe, including a power strip that feeds a power strip that's on the back of the lathe, that all the lights on the lathe are plugged into. And I can turn them on and off at the garage door. So when I leave, I flip the switch. Everything is dead in here, except my security camera I have up there. And it's motion activated. So if someone in here, my phone lets out a bad noise. Well, I set the timer on it so it tracks. And it also records. It's recording an hour at a time. And if it'll put it in a file for me on my phone or record it and put it online. So I cover everything when they come in the garage. This perfect sphere, you've seen that and used those. I enjoy that. I worked on that as part of a beta tester too. So I've got all the whistles and bells that were never sold that went with it. It's fun being a beta tester. But you don't get any credit because you're not supposed to tell anybody.
Right. Right. So. Okay.
And
Well,
I got a complete
nice shop tour.
router table. The top and the adjustments and all the gadgets to go with it, I won as a prize 3 years ago, but I got no place to put it.
Yeah. Yeah, my router table's out in the garage. Used it twice since I built it.
My power tools are on a rack over here that I didn't show you because they're all in their cases in the rack. So I can grab the tool and run if I want to use it for any of the flat work.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I got. This is where I live during the day.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah,
Nice shop.
That's one thing I reckon that you can never have enough of in a workshop, and that's PowerPoints.
Yeah. Yep.
Amen.
So, okay. Well, we're going to have to close up shop, if you will, for today. And this was fun. So, anyways, we're going to be doing, I think next month you're going to be running it, Robbo.
Yes.
Yep, and Rob was going to do the demo for us in the club meeting. But I want to say to DJ, thank you for joining us today. We're glad to have you with us.
Welcome.
And you keep on doing the amazing stuff you're doing.
Is there a demo with the club every month, did you say?
Yes, every month. It's generally the third Sunday of every month, except next month, because of Father's Day, it's going to be the second Sunday. So if you're a member of the club, you'll get an email.
I've never got an email.
You haven't?
No.
Okay. And did you join the club as a friend of DAW?
I don't know, because basically, I think they said they will sort it. I think I have someone, a Turner person, that said they've signed up to be a member and they're putting me on the side or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, apparently they've said I've joined the club, so I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, when you're online on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the woman that you work with.
Yeah, Rachel. Yeah,
Rachel, I think she was signed up as a member and took you as a kids member under 13. So.
Oh.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, DJ, I'll check that out and I'll let you know what I find.
Okay.
And so that way we can make sure you get your notices.
Yeah.
Okay? So
he's every day, the Tuesdays and Fridays, he's always there if it's not school.
Yeah. Okay. Well, everybody, it was great seeing you all. And take care and stay safe. And we'll see you the next time around.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.